Joined now by Winnipeg Jets defenseman Nelson Nogier. Nelson, good to catch up with you again. I was talking to Christian Reichel the other day, and we were talking how it's been, since March of last year since we've actually had a chance to talk. Well, not really face-to-face, but virtually anyways. And now you're back in Winnipeg, I guess. How does it feel to finally be back in Winnipeg and skating with the Jets again?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. As you just touched on, it's been a long time coming and a bit of a roller coaster too. I mean, there's been so many rumors and stuff that have floated around, and from a training standpoint, you're always trying to train to peak at a certain window, and it's kind of been through ups and downs throughout doing that, just because you think you're preparing for something and the next thing you know, that's pushed back another month. So to finally be back here and back in the team environment and having things underway, it's definitely a good feeling.
What was it like to finally reconnect with those guys? I mean, you guys were on the plane to Milwaukee, I guess, when the AHL season ended, and it was so abrupt like that. But now to finally be back with some of those teammates you had last year at the Moose, what was that like to finally see those guys face-to-face again?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, the nice thing about that group, we were so close last year that, I mean, after not seeing them for that long period of time, we just picked up right where we left off. So, I mean, despite that long layover, as I just said, real nice to see everyone. And it's definitely exciting times now.
10 months is a long layover. What was the offseason like for you?
Well, I was fortunate enough that I got to come to the Jets training camp here in Winnipeg in July, so that kind of broke things up for me. But other than that, a lot of time spent at home just training and doing like some things that I don't usually get to do in a typical off season. And those being hunting and fishing. Usually I'm gone during the hunting season back home, so to be able to do that and spend a little more time with friends and family was real nice.
So the group you're skating with right now is the majority of your Manitoba Moose teammates from last year, but there are a couple new guys in that group that you might have either skated with at Dev Camp or seen just around the facility at times, and that's Dylan Sandberg and Declan Chisholm. As a guy who's been around the league for a couple of years now, what have you seen from those two guys in their first training camp here with the Jets?
Things look really good. I mean, if you want to touch on Dylan's game, he's a very mature person and as a player too, both mentally and physically. I mean, the way he carries himself out there and how hard he pushes, it's definitely promising. And if I were in a management position, I'd be real thrilled to watch him progress. So things look real good for Dylan, and then Declan as well. I mean, he's coming out of a real strong year of major junior, and lots of skills there too. So the future looks real bright for him as well.
So 2020-21 season is going to be unlike one for, I think, any hockey or professional athlete, of course. But what kind of goals have you set for yourself this upcoming season?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, obviously here at Jets Camp to try and leave an impression and try and make a team. And with the whole taxi squad situation and not knowing, I mean, really where I'll be in a week's time, it's kind of tough to kind of set those season goals because you really don't know what you're working towards. So for me, it's a pretty small scope. It's just a matter of showing up to the rink and really not really looking beyond the next day's task. And I mean, wherever I'm playing at that specific moment in time, it's just making sure I put my best foot forward.
And I also wanted to touch on the scrimmage a couple of days ago from the Winnipeg Jets. You, of course, scored in that game. But just how important is a scrimmage like that with no preseason games, not really knowing what's coming next, to just, get yourself in that sort of game mindset so early on in this season?
It's extremely important. I mean, if you look at the long off season, don't get me wrong, we would have been scrimmaging back in our training facilities at home. But the majority of that work is skill work, just working on things that you may need to improve on as a player. But you really can't replicate game speed and game intensity until you're put into a setting where you're forced to push each other. And as I touched on, despite trying to scrimmage in the summertime, that incentive to push each other for success reasons or for personal success reasons aren't totally there as they would be in a training camp setting. So extremely important that you kind of just get the feel for that pace and the physicality and everything that comes with that game pace is extremely important in my opinion.
Nelson, thanks again for the time. Good to catch up with you again, and have a great rest of the week at camp.
Yeah, thanks a lot.